All right, let's get it going here with some PLU football. Objectively, last weekend's game against Whitworth was a great football game. PLU had drawn a 41-24 lead with 11:45 left in the game, but that high-powered Whitworth offense, we previewed it last week. They got extremely aggressive and pulled off a come-from-behind win at Sparks Stadium on Saturday. PLU, though, had many big plays in that game. Lacey, which big play from Saturday was your favorite?
Well, I wasn't able to make the first half of the game, which I heard there was lots of excitement going on there on the scoring end. But I was able to be at the second half, and I'm probably going to steal all of your guys' big play, but that's why I'm going first. I'm going to have to go with Carson Ketter's pick six early in the fourth quarter. It was a 93-yard pick, and he also had 16 tackles on the game. So it was a big game for him, and I think at that point the fans were kind of sitting back, getting relaxed. The score was 41-24 in the early fourth quarter, and unfortunately we sat back too early. And I think I can speak for the fans and maybe the players there.
All right, very, very, very nice. Carson, it was a big play. Drew, what was your favorite big play?
Lace, that was the Uncle Mo play. That was when the momentum shifted. I thought that game was in the bag on that pick six. But I like the set the tone play for the offense right out of the gate, led by our very own Kellen Westring here in studio, who got 2 TDs this weekend, and that was his first 70-yard touchdown reception. Just remember, all you quarterbacks, a little yak never hurt you. Kellen made life easy there and got the Lutes out to a nice lead, and it was good to see Kellen get in the end zone a few times, let me tell you.
Yeah, it was. Kellen, what was your favorite play from the weekend? That wasn't your own, maybe.
Cool.
I did that so you couldn't do that, by the way.
Come on, guys.
So you could be like, yes, my play was my favorite big play.
You know I was not going to go there. I love when players do things that are unexpected. And John Schaub had about a 6-yard scamper in the end zone. We went 5 wide. And again, Whitworth knows that John Schaub, number 9, is not going to run the ball. It's going to be Cole Chandler, number 6. And so John Schaub gets the ball, and it was a design run. Great call. And it was a check by John. So, again, it all runs through him. And he gets in the end zone, and that was our first touchdown of the game. And if you remember, it was about 4th and 16 before that play. 2 plays earlier, actually. And we run this play called Florida, another great play call. And Bo Lockmer makes a great catch to complete that 4th down. John Schaub kind of runs a little bit to the right, throws it to Bo on a perfect line, and we get a first down. So 4th and 16 is a big-time backbreaker for a defensive coordinator if you're Whitworth. So for us to complete that 4th down, and then for Job, again, coming off an ACL, but to stay competitive and to put the ball in the end zone was big time. Again, it wasn't a 70-yard touchdown play or it wasn't a pick six, but it's a little thing that he normally doesn't do. So it was awesome to see John do that.
I was waiting for John to give the little point, to give the little point.
Oh,
the Jake Browning.
The Jake Browning point.
He didn't quite have that much room to
on
do
the
that.
way in the end zone.
He was falling down in the end zone, but I respect it.
Again, there were plenty of big plays on Saturday. If you got time, go back and watch that game because it was such a good football game. Now, I got to ask the question, was Saturday a case of Whitworth's offense being just that good, meaning that they came back from 17 points down in the fourth quarter? Are they just that good, or did the PLU defense get exposed a little bit for not being as good as the numbers say they are? Remember, they entered Saturday's game allowing just 12 points a game. They gave up 41. I mean, what was the situation on Saturday?
I don't think you can go either way of saying Whitworth's offense is incredible or PLU's defense is horrible. I think Whitworth, you got to give them credit. They buckled down at the end of the game and finished the game. I think they had the momentum on that last drive, so that helps too. But the Lutes defense is great, and if you look at the numbers, you can't really argue with the stats there. And I think we saw a similar ending in San Antonio with the Lutes when it was the fourth quarter and the team came down and scored on the Lutes late in the game. So I'm not sure if it's a mental thing, because they're good enough to finish these football games. I'm not sure if
they being who?
The Lutes defense.
Okay.
So in my opinion, I think it's a mindset thing, and that can be an easy fix. That's something where you just have to come together and at the end of the game, know you're a talented defense and look each other in the eyes and say, this team is not going to score on us right now. That's
Good
my
point. A
opinion.
little bit of a gut check right there. Drew, what do you think? Was Whitworth that good, or was the PLU defense maybe not as good as we thought they were?
I just think that the PLU philosophy going into that fourth quarter and defensive coaching got exposed. Even though they were playing the number one offense in the country, they had them beat. They became. I just didn't understand where the switch flipped defensively and offensively in terms of decision making. Then they just became one dimensional, trying to run the clock out. I don't understand. Everybody and their mother knows when Cole Chandler's coming in, it's 80-20 run pass. When you take John out of the game, you take away the ability to put the ball in the air. I know it's risky coming down the clock to put the ball in the air, but you got 2 touchdowns on the board. Throw the ball. Then the defense went to their dime defense, where they only have 1 down lineman with pretty much with his hand in the grass and 2 end speed rushers off the edge and a plethora of DBs. The only problem is that once you have that defense out there with Whitworth spread no huddle style, you can't get that package off the field. So it works for a down. Then Whitworth's offensive coordinator, who is not dumb, saw what PLU was doing and decided he was going to run gap zone and gap draw until the cows come home. Ladies and gentlemen, what does prevent mean? It means you're going to prevent yourself from winning. It was like the flipping Trendy game all over again. It was like a bad movie that HBO overplays or a bad song that's overplayed on the radio.
So that's 2 people who've mentioned kind of maybe a trend here, which is tough to say. We saw it against Trinity. We see it again against Whitworth. That PLU defense can't close it out. Kellen, you're an offensive player for the PLU football team, but what are your thoughts from Saturday?
Well, it's definitely a hard pill to swallow. Anytime you lose a close game, very, very frustrating. You kind of go to bed thinking, well, what could I have done differently? I truly believe Whitworth is just that good. I mean, they're the number 1 offense in the country for a reason. Di Gaetano, their running back, who's leading the Northwest Conference in touchdowns, 2nd in the nation in touchdowns, ran for 159 yards and 3 touchdowns on 26 carries,
wow,
which was 6.1 yards per carry. Also caught 9 passes for 52 yards, finishing with 211 all-purpose yards in the game. And on that last drive, Duke ran about 6 times for 55 yards on the final game-winning drive. And it's just so tough because if Whitworth had about a minute left, all they could do is pass. But they had about, I think it was like 2:37s when they got the football, so they could run the football. And they did very well. And like we were caught in dime. We couldn't use the timeout because we wanted that if they were to score for the offense. And so it was just so frustrating because they ate us up there. I mean, we're like Drew said, we're in prevent, and we got guys that are 180 pounds on D-line who are extremely quick, but their linemen are just going to press us and give Duke the ball up the middle. And then Ian Colsey, who's a great quarterback for Whitworth, completed 47 of 65 passes for 386 yards with 2 touchdowns and 1 big-time pick six. But again, the Pirates averaged 47 points a game and just over 400 yards of offensive game, which is number 1 in the country. And so, again, these guys are big time, and they in my opinion, out-schemed our defense.
Kellen, may I ask, was there a conversation on the sideline had about taking a timeout there when they started driving, run that A-gap draw and that A-gap zone run? Like, was there a conversation had?
Right, I'm on the left side of the field, so I can't quite answer that honestly because I'm not sure what was said. All the offensive guys are kind of down on one field where the defense is on the other. We're kind of still scheming if we get the ball, what are we going to do, 2 minutes, stuff like that. But it's an interesting question, Drew. It'd be interesting to kind of talk to some of the coaches on the defensive staff. But again, you got to give all the credit to Whitworth. They really schemed us well on that last drive.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about our heroes from Saturday's game. Who's everybody's hero from the game against Whitworth?
I'll kick it off here. Carson Ketter, for me, I think it's an easy hero to say, but he really is the hero of the game. Like Lacey mentioned earlier, he had 16 tackles and a big-time pick six that went 93 yards. He's a track guy, so everybody's yelling, "They're not going to catch him," which was so true. Was a big momentum play in the game, like Drew mentioned, Uncle Mo. But again, not to give Whitworth too much credit because I don't want to, but you got to respect the way that Ian Colsey responded. I mean, after throwing a pick six, after being down 17 with 11 minutes left, clearly they didn't shy away from throwing the football again. So you got to give a lot of credit to the Pirate offense and that whole team in general for staying, keeping their head above water and never giving up.
There you go. Drew, who is your hero?
I hate to do this. Gosh, I hate to do this. But I have to. It's Kellen Westring. PLU runs an offense not predicated on take what the defense gives you, because if they did, it wouldn't look the way it does. But they run on a big play offense. And Kel, I love you, bud, and you made big plays. 143 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did it with only 8 touches. I mean, that's crazy. 143 yards.
Quick question: why do you hate to do that?
I just because it's Kellen. I just hate to do it.
I like that. I love to do that.
Yeah, I can't. It just pains me inside to do it because we disagree so much on football and on the show. It's just like when I have to give the guy credit, it just kind of hurts.
Okay, fair.
It hurts me in my soul.
I see where you're coming from now.
All right, Lacey, who's your hero?
Guys, I have to go with Nolan Hoover, and for those listeners out there, you might not even know who he is because he never sees the field. He's a sophomore, 4th-string quarterback, and he is a great human being. He is high energy, and what made me notice him this weekend is I was at the game with my parents, and my mom looks over at me and she goes, "Who's that goofy-looking kid jumping up and down with his helmet off?" And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Nolan, like one of my best friends here at PLU. And I think it's players like that really get you through the tough games, because you can really just kind of sit back and think, wow, like for Kellen, you play that entire game and you're bummed at the end, but you have a player that probably is not going to see the field the entire season and is just high energy and he's there for you. And those are the type of players that I just love watching, and his excitement on the sidelines is just incredible.
All right, I'm going to take both POU quarterbacks to stay on that theme of quarterbacks here. I really think that regardless if you know what's coming when each quarterback is on the field, it's worked extremely well for POU. The 2 quarterbacks being John Schaub and Cole Chandler combined to go 18 for 24 for 250 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. They also combined for 55 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns on the ground. So that's 6 touchdowns from 2 different quarterbacks. It's different, but it's working right now for POU.
It's effective, and I think, the longer we play, the better we get. That's a theme for PLU football. I think we're beginning to get used to the 2 quarterback system. I know Drew is not going to fall in love with it. He's not going to become Facebook official with it. But hey, it's starting to grow a little bit, and I think, again, once Cole's arm is beginning to become more effective, it's going to be really tough to stop. I don't think, and I think Lacey would, even though she's a little bit biased here, John's never going to become a runner. We know that. But he has, again, I've said this before on the air, one of the most accurate arms I've ever seen. And so I think, again, it's that mesh where both quarterbacks are going to play the first half. Whoever has the hot hand, we're going to go with in the second half. There's been times where sometimes it feel like, it's so much even, but again, when you can run the clock, when you can win the time of possession, that's when Cole comes in, Drew. But again, as I know for me as a receiver at times, it's like when John is there, we know we can go deep, we know we can run, we know we can run our passing plays like we have all year. But again, it's a 2-edged sword, so again, we're still figuring it out. Got 4 games left in the season, Lord willing more, so we'll see what happens.
For the record, Kellen, I wouldn't even date the 2 quarterback system. Not even a first date.
Wow.
Not even a first date.
You wouldn't even have a fling with him?
No.
You'd give her the read receipt.
Not even a fling. I'd read it and not respond.
That's fair.